So I pulled a handful of daffodils that were crookneck and about to be flooded. It has been one heck of a couple of weeks here. In 15 days, we've had an ice storm, which took out our power for 6 days, and we were on a generator. Then we had almost 5 days of 25-degree weather, and now we're having a flood. So these I tried to save, but everything else is not quite ready. And so that's where I am. You can see how tired I look. I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm just going to give you a little video of the water levels around the greenhouse. So you can see this bed where the trellis is completely underwater. The asparagus and strawberries are totally underwater, and the garlic is creeping up, and it's going to cover the garlic probably before the end of the day. And then you can see the beds with the tulips and the hyacinth and the daffodils that are left. And then you can go just back behind the greenhouse, and the water is there. So we can see the water is going this way towards the road. This whole area out here is filling in, and this is the river. You can see how the river has merged with my backyard and my tempo. Even the birds know it's time to get out of Dodge. The ranunculus, however, have bounced back, only for them to about to get covered in water. So you can see all this side of the bed is ranunculus. This bed is ranunculus. These are filled with extra garlic bulbs that I didn't have space for in the beds. And then this is a yarrow, ranunculus, a little bit of weeding needing to happen. This is the front. Trying to move everything out of the way of water right now. And all I'm going to have out of it is a few little daffs. These are 2 trays of Lisianthus that need to go in the ground. But we've been so busy, we haven't gone to the farm to put them in. So I might just pot them into something and see if they'll grow into anything. But like, just for you guys to see how deep this water is, I'm going to walk through in my boots. So these boots are almost up to my knees, and the water is maybe 2 inches below that, maybe 3. And if I walk over this way, you'll actually see where it's starting to come over the road at my house. And all this debris is floated in from the river and what was on the ground after the ice storm. But yeah, the water is just coming up over the road a little bit. It's supposed to come up another 40 centimeters, which will put it well into my laneway, which is right here. And this is what practice year 2023 looks like, folks. You can see down there the water's actually just broken the height. Unbelievable. If I'm sounding a little defeated, it's because I am. This year I'd made so much effort and wanted to do things and was finally feeling a little bit at peace, only to have this kind of stress again. And it's really put to the forefront of the cost that comes with living by the water. Like, everybody says, oh, you have $1 million view, your house is beautiful, your view is beautiful, being able to, go jump in your kayak and run in the river is this amazing thing, and it is. But Mother Nature's also a beast. And Mother Nature sometimes says, you know what, I'm just going to do this. And in the 40 years before we worked on this house, there hadn't been a lot of significant floods. There had been minor floods, a couple where it got across the road, but not too many. And in the 10 years we've been here, there's been 3 major floods, 2 massive floods, like 100-year flood marks twice in 2017 and 19. And with the rain coming, the amount of water height, the flow from the dams, it's not looking pretty. All I can do is take a little joy in these. I'm going to drop these off to one of my son's moms as a surprise gift. I'm going to just let them sit in some water during the school day, and then when I go to pick up the kids this afternoon, I will bring her a small jar of daffodils in an attempt to find joy somewhere and give joy somewhere. I'm standing in the middle of my garden bed, which is basically its own little island right now. So you can see this is the one where just the corner was in the water yesterday. Now it's up over the garlic and up over the end of these tulips. And now the backyard area here. And coming all the way around. And all the way around this lovely greenhouse of mine. We've got a few things put up here. We ran a generator last night because of course it got to -2 degrees. And we tried to keep everything alive that's in the greenhouse. But if you come through my archway here, you'll actually see that everything from my road is now water. So when you drive down my road, there's just a few sections that are sticking out, like right here. But if I come up past where my laneway is, again, it's water up the road. We're not expecting a ton more, but another 8 inches or so it won't be as bad as 2019. But this little home of mine is still standing. Who knew it? I didn't for sure. This will have a little bit of an effect. This is an entire perennial bed that's underwater with lilac bushes and rose bushes and a whole host of others. Mock orange trees and all that, all under. A few more daffodils look like they're going to be close to ready. So I might be able to pull those. That one became a little shorty down there. That's okay. And the hyacinths are really bumping out. You can see like just in here, this is where the water is in the leaves. It's not actually leaves. Let's go take a look at the ranunculus, which are like super soaking in water right now. So the ground is going to be really wet, but like you can see, it's put on good new growth here. So several of these are established if we can keep the water from going too much into the beds. But that bales of hay are freaking soaked. So it is what it is. We tore in the greenhouse. Several things have dried out pretty badly, but I'm back today. I'm going to try to get everything watered in here after my meetings. Most things look salvageable or very, very close, with the exception of these poor eucalyptus. We'll see what happens. I might be able to save a handful. But everything else is growing on. This is all my veg. I gotta get these separated. There's 144 vegetable plants in there. But we'll get there. I'll do a proper tour another day. Right now I'm just trying to survive. I would do a tour, but I'm pretty depressed. Things are a bit messy in here. Some things are doing okay. The eucalyptus is actually coming back pretty okay from the freeze that we had there a few weeks ago. The germination's gotten very spotty with some plants because I have not been here as much to water. You can see that these did not do very happily when they were left outside. During all this flood mess, I have not given the care I would love to. At least I have a few beautiful few. Not great germination, but I will take what I can get at this point. My peppers are doing okay. I have some snaps in stock up here and more up there. And then I've got some strawflower, some stock in lupin, some of veggies, a few trays of other things like some zinnias I'd started, some heuchera. This is the eucalyptus that's not doing well. Like you can see just how poor this is. It is just not going to come back. The yarrow took a bit of a beating. Everything's kind of a hot mess. And I'll be honest, in here, as much as some of it is still green, I'm pretty devastated with the flood. And we'll sit down and talk about that in a minute. You're probably not going to be able to hear me well over the waves and the wind. Both are pretty bad right now. I'm hanging out. I'm going to sit down in the flood. This is some of my pots. In the water. Here are the only bed that is still out of the water. Every other bed is completely submerged, and this one is pretty much. But hey, the tulips are trying to have some color. Like, I'll show you this. There are color cracking just a little bit, and if they can hang on one more day, I'll try to pull them out so I can at least enjoy very tiny short tulips in a mason jar for myself at this point. My Lysianthus unplanted, hanging out on the top here. I just gave them a bath in the river, and I'm just kind of here. If I'm honest, I'm pretty devastated. We went up to the farm property today and we added some fabric and burned some holes. We had tilled 6 50-foot beds, but just even maintaining what's in the greenhouse right now is really, really hard, because this is the pathway to get there. My house is in the pink in the back there. There is about 2 feet of water here that's coming through. We're coming over on a 4-wheeler, and I'm wearing rain boots to get in and water what is in the dry greenhouse. Thankfully, we built our greenhouse here because we knew it was on a floodplain, on a old hay trailer. So it's actually 3-4 feet in the air and is movable if we really had to. But at this point, the water on the road is, 6 inches to a foot in some places, a little bit more in others. So there's not too much I can really do about it other than hope that that's going to be good enough. Here, these beds flooded in 2017 and 2019, but it was before I was putting in early spring things, so they didn't actually affect anything. And so I put in some daffodils and some tulips and some hyacinth and a boatload of garlic, which the garlic is just trash. Like you can see a few garlic hanging out there, but all the wood and the waves are just blowing in and destroying it. And then I have these blooming anyway, despite it. Mother Nature saying, yes, I'm going to. And that leaves me sitting here, hoping for a better day soon. It's another day, actually 2 days later, and the water has come down about 8 centimeters, and you can see a couple of the garden beds. Pretty much everything in this bed is gone. There does look like a few ranunculus hung on, but I don't know if they will actually grow. The yarrow was decimated at the far end. The bed with the cattle panel, there is nothing left in it but some soil and dirt. Over here, you'll see that there are still some tulips. I don't know if they're going to be able to survive. And here, the tulips, the hyacinths actually all forced bloomed. Daffodils are still blooming, and these tulips that were underwater are doing okay. They're not excellent by any means, but they're doing okay. My garlic, on the other hand, there's a few that you'll see sticking out. The rest are floating. And so what I'm actually going to try to do, I'm going to get some rubber boots on, is to pick them up and to plant them all in a row at our farm, because I had planted about 200 bulbs. There looks to be quite a few of them still here, even though the tops look pretty shredded. And in my experience, even when an animal cuts off the top, they can grow. I just don't know if sitting in water for 5 days is going to really have, cause some serious damage to that, or if it would be not that much worse than snow melt. We'll see, because it was pretty rough with the debris. Like you can see, like wood, one of my bed frames is over there. All this is wood and debris and some mulch that moved around. This is the little island. This was underwater just yesterday. So now I'm trying to use this water to actually water some of the trays. So I've got some zinnia trays out here, a poor yarrow that really needs fertilization. Some more zinnias, some bachelor buttons. And over here, I believe it's lupin and stock, but the stock is in desperate need of fertilization too, because I haven't fertilized anything in 6 days. And it was due when I did. However, my veggies, other than a few having gone to seed, look like they are doing pretty good. I might actually just harden them off and get them in the ground. Inside here, most stuff looks okay. I've been able to come in and water and take care of many of it, as I had shown many times before. This eucalyptus, not so happy, but I think I'll have definitely several dozen plants. I dropped this entire tray of straw flower and re-dropped them back into their pods, hoping that it would come back. The feverfew has done okay. I didn't get really good germination, but I'll have a half dozen plants, and I started a second round. Everything here really needs some watering, so I'm going to get to that next. It's right now the 26th of April, so a lot of this can't go in the ground where I am yet. It's going to need 3 or 4 weeks. You can see how some of these hadn't gotten a chance to get potted up, so they're not doing so well. The calendula is doing great though. There's some more zinnia here, and this is some pretty sad looking snapdragons. So I'm gonna have to go in and see what I can do here and pot them up and get them some fertilizer. The scented geraniums and things though are doing excellent. The mahogany splendor hibiscus is okay. Shockingly, the heuchera has really held on well. The osteos are doing okay. I even have one that's trying to bloom, so I might pinch that off. I'm going to double check them. Should. The potted aster is very sad, so I'm going to try to deadhead some and see if I can get it to come back. The hydrangea, I think, will bounce back with some water, so I'm not too stressed about that. More very sad eucalyptus and some heuchera. And then up here on this top shelf, I have a bunch of dahlia tubers that I had tried to start. So this one has nothing in it. Or rather, I should say there's no sprout. Neither does this one. This is Otto's Thrill. I'm hoping, because they've been out here about 2 weeks, that some of them will. Oh, here, this one does. Which one is this? This is Harmony Gold. And so it's got a sprout on it, because I wanted to pre-sprout anything that I got from online places, so that when I go and put it in the ground, I could check a little bit for any kind of gall or disease. And if I wanted to take any cuttings, that I could do that. But as you see, there's lots of stuff. Everything is now absolutely everywhere. But I will do my best. I'll see what is here, what can go in the ground, and I'll get more summer stuff started, because that was what I should have been doing next and did not. And here's even my own Lisianthus. These are ones I started here. These are the only ones that survived, but you can see they're also hungry and needing some fertilizer. Here I've got a few dahlia seeds. Down here you'll see some bigger bachelor buttons, some bells of Ireland, some craspedia. I grabbed one of those tulips from the water because it had been unearthed 2 days ago, and threw it in a pot, and I'll see if it can survive. I did the same thing with a hyacinth. You'll see one over here. It was completely unearthed. So I just said, hey, I'll put it in a pot and see what it'll do. And we'll check in on it in a little bit. Whew. It has been one heck of a time. So now that I've done a tour of the greenhouse, and you can see, I'd say 80% of stuff has made it through me not being able to be out here very regularly, definitely falling off the fertilizer regime and watering schedule. But there's stuff here, there's stuff growing, there's lots of green, there's many things that can come back. I'm just stepping down, trying not to fall. We still have quite a bit of water, like you'll be able to see here. Like, that's the river. And it's just come right over our rock wall and into the property. But I can get here on the side by side, it's not too high anymore. And over here, this is our road. So I just back up in between the trellis and the tree and go out to the road and come back. Part of our laneway is uncovered again, thankfully. I'm feeling a little bit less maybe stressed out, but now I'm a bit anxious of how long things will hold on for me to get them in the ground. Like the Lisianthus trays are still here. I'm hoping to get those in the ground tomorrow, but you can see some of them have passed on. They're not here anymore. But the majority of the tray looks okay. I would say there's probably maybe a dozen between both trays that just took too much of a beating. They just either got too cold, too wet, because we did have like really bad rainfall too, and they were out because they were already hard enough. They were ready to go in the ground, and that didn't happen. I will say the hyacinth actually brought me a lot of joy, because they were the only thing that was full of color, and they bloomed in the water. They bloomed with, 4 or 5 inches of water around them, and now that the water's going down, they're still here. So I'm happy for that, because you can see them down right here. Hyacinth, some daffodils, and my tulips. So I'm gonna keep breathing. next year we might raise this a little bit, but I will probably only use this for summer crop where we don't get flooding in April or early May. Or whether we get flooding in early April or oh my gosh, I can't speak. We get some flooding in late April and early May. And if I'm planting summer crop, I'm not putting it in here until the end of May. So I can completely avoid that. But this is like an unusual high. In 2019, we got what was supposed to be once in 100 years. This is not as high as that. But in 2019, I wasn't planting stuff here that was spring. I wasn't planting fall crop or fall plants, bulbs and things that would come up in the spring. And so it's been a really heavy learning curve because I should have paid attention to the fact that there is a risk. I just didn't think the risk was going to be that high because it's not supposed to be a thing we get, but climate change is real. Climate change is kind of one of those things that just hits us when we're not expecting it. People making decisions, privatization of stuff, just a bad set of consequences with Mother Nature. Like, we have lots of snow and tributaries and basins that fill up. We had a bad ice storm. Then we had 4 days of what would be plus 80, 85 temperatures, or in Canada, 20 to 30 temperatures for 4 to 5 days, and everything melted and there was nowhere for it to go. So it came here. So I'm hoping we can, maybe make raised beds here that are much taller. My husband was thinking of doing some in concrete and just doing, 8 or 10 beds that are concrete here, but I still think that I would keep the majority of what goes here to be summer so that it's not inaccessible. The big thing would be access to the greenhouse. So we will raise the property at this trellis area because it is actually a big dip here, and we want to make sure that we can maintain access because this is a high point, and we built the whole greenhouse on top of an old hay trailer for this reason, so that we could get into it, but did not take into consideration that over here the dip is so much that you're, right now still 18 inches of water, which is 1.5 feet. So it's a lot to consider. I still look pretty tired, but I am feeling hope and optimism and a little bit of resilience. It's one of those things that I tend to be able to come back from sometimes. I think I cried my eyes out for a couple of days, was really depressed about the situation and where things were. But I have a plan for the future and a plan for the rest of this year, and we'll see where we go. Thanks for listening to our story this year and the trials and tribulations of trying to be a flower farmer. Thanks.